and get it going. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you all. Welcome to another Mindset Saturday, where we're all coming together to reason, right? To learn how to think in order to live well. So I'm gonna get it firing off. Normally, that's actually, going to this. That's actually why I'll probably get back to it more, but usually like around this time, I'll put out things that you didn't know, or whether it's history or whether it's what a word means or things like that. I don't know if you guys have been here long enough. So let me give you one. Let's see. So Michelle, what does the word nice? What does the word nice mean?
Nice.
Yes. Cisco, I want you to go on to if you have a computer that you have access to, I want you to go on to the online to the etymology online dictionary.
For me, nice means
Not for you. Not for you. This is not your truth.
what does it
The
really
truth.
mean? The
What does
truth?
nice mean?
Nice means good. Nice is positive. Nice, positive, good.
Okay.
I don't know,
Cisco,
I don't know the Webster dictionary version.
do you see it?
Yeah, but it's not, it's the opposite.
Correct. Yeah, look at it. Look at his face. Yeah, isn't that a trip?
What is this dictionary? What is the etymology?
Etymology is the study of words as far back in human history as possible. Meaning, like, this is what this word was actually, what it actually means when the word was created. Go ahead, read it out.
It says foolish, ignorant, frivolous, senseless. Those are the first words, and then it goes on.
It is a compound word. Ni, the beginning, the ni means ni, means no or not. The ce is the same root word as science or conscious. It means knowledge. So it's saying that you're without knowledge. You're stupid, you're foolish, you're ignorant. You don't know anything. Ni means no or not, without.
That's what it says. That's what it says.
Yeah. So remember, right? So when we talked about this, right? When I say most people don't know the truth about anything because we just take what we hear and we often running with it, and we run our entire lives on something that on the same internet, right? That you could find out nice doesn't mean what you think. We don't use that internet for that. We use that to get online, get on social media. We use that to get on Facebook to stay in touch with our family. That's cap. We get on Instagram, on the gram, right? We get on TikTok. But you're out there using the word nice, and anybody. So when you ask me how do I deal with people, I know what they mean connotatively, but that's why sometimes people say, oh, you have to be able to relate to people. But why would I want to relate to your ignorance? I'm not condemning you because I understand why you say what you say, but I understand that you don't know. And if I agree with you, then I'm allowing you to remain ignorant. Now, I pick and choose my battles, right? If I think it's worth it or whatever. But my point is that a lot of times, that's why you just say, I'm less tolerant. It's like, okay, I understand why you don't know, but it's obvious you don't, right? Yeah, that word means literally ignorant or foolish, without knowledge.
So now I'm insulting people when I say that.
No, you're not,
that's
because
nice.
they don't know it either. No, you're not. That's the point.
But I guess in my tone is like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but like even in your tone, right? When you put it in context, you're not really saying that. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's nice, right? Yeah, words can mean anything in context depending on the context you put them in, right? But that's the point, is that when you were saying it, you should have saw Cisco's face. I wish I could replay it.
I saw his face. He was like, what am I reading here?
No, all right. But 5 minutes ago, we had a completely different understanding. Right. So Cisco, to your question, etymology is basically the study of words as far back as they've originated. It's what does the word actually mean denotatively? Denotatively, right? Yes, go ahead.
So how did we come about with the current definition of nice if that's not what it originally meant?
Because it's almost like words take on, depending on the word, it it goes on its own, and each word has its own experience, right? So sometimes people use words, um, because they think it means something depending on the context. Sometimes people don't know you're being sarcastic. Like, oh,
Mhm.
that's cool. But if they think that cool just means one thing, they don't realize that it actually means something different, right? So sometimes a lot, like, just think about it this way. Nice is what it is, but because somebody may have changed the context in which it was used and the person didn't know what it is, then they're going to take its definition in what is being inferred, what they
Yeah.
think it means. But that's
Mm.
my point, is we think a lot of things mean a lot of things they don't actually mean. But it goes to our earlier point. How many people actually study or research or follow up on something they've heard? How many
Mm.
people go to church and come home and read the Bible? Come home from the mosque and come home and read the Quran? How many people actually go home, and that's what homework is for, right? Is to get you to understand, do I understand the same thing the teachers understand? And can I replicate or reproduce that, right? Do you know in Oakland out here, only 1 in 10 kids, only 2 in 10 kids can read at grade level, and only 1 in 10 kids can perform math or proficient in math. 1 in 10 are proficient in math in high school, graduating,
Mm.
right? So we think there's a whole lot of things we think we know. We think about what we think, and we don't know how to think. We have not been taught how to think. We have been taught to hear and regurgitate. You told me this, I'm gonna tell you that. If what I say on this test is what you told me, is good. But most people don't know the history on anything. They don't even know what black means or what white means. They don't know what those things mean. They think it's a person. It's not a body. Black is an adjective, right? Number one. And number two, in this country, black was created because it is a status. It is a status. It is a citizenship status. And black means void. It means without citizenship. So black people wonder why they're always on the wrong side of the law. Why they told Dred Scott that a black person has no rights that a white person is bound to respect. They don't understand what black and white means in this country. They think it's a skin color, and it's not. Oh, you can apply it to that now, but it's legally not. You had to be white to get citizenship in this country originally. And they were talking about Puritan white. They weren't talking about Italian white, Jewish white, Catholic white, Scottish white. They weren't talking about that. They were just as despised as black people were historically. But then when it came time to confer benefits and of citizenship and things like that, then they were like, well, should we rather give it to them than to them? When they started remaking the government and things like that. People don't know what the Harlem Renaissance is or was about. People don't know what Harlem means, and they don't know what Renaissance means. They don't know that those are compound words. Both of them are compound words. So they don't. So they think Harlem Renaissance was a time of black excellence and black greatness and things like that. They know what the word art means. Art means, that's why they call it. Anybody ever heard that word? That everybody, has anyone ever heard of this book or seen even the movie, The Art of War?
Heard of the book?
Yeah. Why do you think it's called The Art of War? Art is part of art is talking about war. That's where the word artillery comes from. They're talking about how something is actually being used. And so the Harlem Renaissance was all about art, right? All about performance, things like that. People don't know. I don't want to get too far off the point, but I'll just give you this part. Renaissance, it's a compound word, ren. What does ren mean? Anybody know what that means?
Mm-mm.
Ren means to tear.
Mm.
Ren means to tear. Everything I tell you guys, follow the information. Don't believe me. Don't look at me. Don't follow me. Follow the information. Ren means to tear. Just like, so Cisco, when we talked about nice, right? I had you pull it up. I didn't give you some kind of theory or my emotional belief. You
Mm.
saw it right there online, right? Ren means to tear. Aisance means a skill. It means a skill, right? Ren, R-E-N, the aisance, right? The second part of the word means skill. It means to skillfully tear. What they essentially did was they remade the original black people that were here early in Harlem, that were originally there in Harlem. They remade them to what they call the new Negro. So if you ever look at videos back then, they had the new Negro movement. Yeah, they basically remodeled it. They took your original identity and history and remodeled it into 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne to Diddy and Jay-Z. They remade you. They remade you so that now you have your pants sagging. Now you think you're this or you're that. But that was never what Black people were doing back in the day. It's never what they were doing. Whether they were getting beat up or whether they're getting all the different things, they had a 3-piece suit on. You never saw anybody out there sagging, looking crazy. You never saw that.
Michelle says she knows a little bit because she lives in Harlem.
Okay. Okay. Right?
Just a little, but this is good.
Yeah. They remade that area. That was all originally those are all Black people originally, what they would call indigenous, what they call Native Americans. Those are all originally those people. And they were remade into the new Negro. That's what the Renaissance was about. It's about tearing down the original culture to remake it into one that can be controlled. See, in this country, all of your rights have been turned into privileges. That's why they can be charged. That's why you can be taxed on them, right? So this goes into other things like law, health, history, the actual thing, right? People don't know enough they don't know enough about anything to see the parallel or its equivalent in something else. All this stuff ties in together. That's why the mind thing, it gets easy because you understand like, oh, okay, I understand this, so I understand how this thing could work. I understand why I used to think this way, but it's because I've been conditioned to think this way, and it's not actually how people who are winning think. It's not people who know law, they don't think that way. History, they don't think that way. Health, they don't think that way. Right? Just because we're talking about the same thing doesn't mean we know the same thing. So a lot of times when you get into conversations with people, people are confused because they agree or disagree, but they think you have the same information that both of you guys think you have the same information, right? A lot of times, but when you know more, you can identify when someone knows or doesn't know. It's just something as simple as nice, just something that simple, turn your whole world around, right? So everything that we're looking at, like when Dave Chappelle was doing that, yeah, because there were Black people in the Klan. People don't talk about that because they don't know. They just assume it was something. They just assume what they were talking about. They assume that's not true. So, I don't want to go too far off, but just little things to prove a point. The point is that people are not struggling for no reason. People are struggling because they're ignorant. They're lacking knowledge. And they're going off of what they've been told, and they don't realize what they've been told is never going to lead them to lead them home, right? It's never that people are working hard and they have no chance of being successful because they're ignorant. They're nice, right? They're lacking knowledge. They're without knowledge, right? So that's what we're here. So sometimes I throw in information, or whether it's law, health, history, just to kind of wake people up to say, this may sound crazy to you right now, but let me prove to you that what you thought was true is not. So that way, when I introduce this to you, you're more prone or apt to listen, right? Because a lot of things you think are true over here are not even true. Something as simple as the word nice, not even true at all, right? So these things that we introduce, you'll be a little bit more warmed up to be like, well, let me at least listen, because I swore that was true 5 minutes ago. So let me at least, right? So that's why we did that, right? But that's just go to your point, to your question. That's what that is, right? And it'll tell you a lot of things that people, yeah, they don't know what a whole bunch of stuff means, right? Truthfully. So
But I think
yes.
also we normally also slang and change words like naturally. It's like what we do. It reminds me of when I moved here from Puerto Rico, and it was the 90s, so everyone was saying, "Oh, that's bad," but it meant good. And I remember thinking like, "Oh, you don't like it?" And she was like, "No, that's bad." And it was like, "Oh, she had to explain to me that means good." I was like, "Wait, what?" It didn't make sense, but I think we also do that in slang. So words evolve and meanings kind of evolve too. So yeah, like he says, unless you actually go back to one of those dictionaries that etymology, did I say that right?
Mhm.
You wouldn't even know. And I mean, yeah.
Okay, so matter of fact, Cisco, so since you're the internet master of the day, you're gonna look on Webster's dictionary, 1828. Go on Webster's dictionary, go online and look up Webster's dictionary, 1828. And anybody can do it really, but since he's already Webster's dictionary, 1828, and look up the word American.
American.
Yep. I'm an American.
Okay. It
Okay.
says pertaining to America, and as a noun, it's a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
So who was an American?
The natives, like the people that were already here,
And what were they described as?
copper-colored races.
So who were they not described as? Read the
Uh,
next part.
uh, Descendants of Europeans born in America.
So what is it telling you? That Americans look like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
That when people tell you to go back to Africa, go back home, yeah, no, we were here first. That's why the word American means you and I. Americans didn't look like Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Americans didn't look like Joe Biden. Americans didn't look like that. But what does it say? What did it say after that? It was applied to, go ahead, say that part.
Applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Yes, descendants of Europeans. So
Mm-hmm.
now that's what Americans, when they say, so when they say I'm American, how come they're the only ones who don't have a hyphen. African American, Asian American, Jewish American, Indian American, everybody else has a hyphen, but how come they're the ones that don't, and they're not, and America's not even applied to them originally? Look at the word. Well, it said copper colored people. It's not talking about them. There ain't no copper in there, right?
Yeah.
So saying I'm about to say, the word has been hijacked. The definition of the word has been hijacked. Daniel Webster, who wrote that, he looked like all of us. Went to Yale, looked like all of us. He wrote his dictionary. I think it was called the. Okay, get back on your computer again. Look up the Blue Papers. I think it's the Blue Papers, written by Daniel Webster. This is the same internet that all of us are on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and everything else. Right? Do you see it?
Hold on.
I think it's called the Blue Papers.
The Papers of Daniel Webster,
Yes.
digital edition.
Yeah. Now, do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Did anybody know what that is before we go into that? Does anybody know what those papers are?
No.
No. No. That's essentially your first dictionary. The Blue Papers were where Daniel Webster is considered the father of American English in America, of American English. Black dude. His dictionaries were people were using for the first 5 generations of this country. Ebonics did not come from Black people. Ebonics came from British Western England, from people in Western England who came to the South to work. Those were originally your first slaves. They weren't Black. I could do this all day and all night, right? But I give you just a little bit to let you know that what we're talking about here, just because you're unfamiliar with it, doesn't mean it's not true. When we're talking about how to use your mind to think, doesn't mean it's not true. It just means you don't know it. But the reason you don't know it is because it's true. And if you knew it, you wouldn't act the way you act. You wouldn't think the way you think. You wouldn't live the way you live. You wouldn't feel the way you feel. You wouldn't do the things you do. The reason you do is because you think the way you think, and as a result, you act and feel and believe what you do. Because only the truth sets you free. And anytime you compromise that, you're compromised. So I don't ever go into this because that's not really the point of this for me. I'm not trying to start a revolution on here. That's not really my great, because and the only reason I say that is because really what we're talking about on here matters the most. Like you're not Black. Just let everybody know, since I'm already kind of on one this morning, right? You're not Black. You are not Black. Your body is Black. The body you created that you decided to hop into when you came in here, that is Black, just like your car outside is Black or red or white. It is your car. It's your body. It's not you. You are not Black. Newsflash in case you didn't know. So identifying yourself as Black in a human experience is cool, but it is limiting ultimately. Well, since I'm Black, I can't. Well, then you just, yeah, but you're not Black, so you're wrong. You're in a Black body, you're not Black. So when you say, since I'm Black, I can't, you're already wrong because you're not Black. So if what you were saying was true, then that's true. But if you're not Black, then you can't say, because I'm Black, I can't. Well, you're not Black. So then the reason that you are saying you can't no longer is true. So then unless you have a better one or a different one, then you can. You're saying you can't because of something, but that reason you gave us is not correct. You're not that. That's the body you are. And why do you think you picked that? You think you picked that to lose? You think that was a losing proposition from where you came? You had no reason to pick that if you couldn't win with it. But you've been convinced here that you can't win with it. Just like you were convinced here that Black people came here as slaves and everything like that. That's not true. Slave is an economic term. It's a term of economics. It's when they talk about slave wages, doesn't mean you didn't get paid. It means you got paid little to nothing, right? If not anywhere near what you wanted. But slavery was a form of indentured servitude. Who's the most famous indentured servant you know? We talked about this once. Who is it?
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. Indentured servitude. Indentured servitude was a common practice in the world, especially in European countries. Indentured servitude is what we call now an apprentice. It's someone who learns a craft or a trade essentially for free most of the time, right? Under a master for a certain amount of time. But what people don't tell you is an indentured. It was really an indentured servant because that person was sold from their family, by their family, to someone. They were sold by their family to someone. In this case, Benjamin Franklin was sold to his brother by his father. His brother ran a printing press, the Boston Current, which was the second newspaper in America, created in America. He was sold by his father to his brother. His brother taught him how to run a printing press. That's why Benjamin Franklin's on the $100 bill. Because he knew how to not only make money by running a printing press, he learned how to make money and he learned how to stop counterfeit. He ended up in Philadelphia because he ran away from Boston because his brother was beating his head in because he was jealous of him and mad at it. His older brother was just a hater, let's just say. So he ran away on a boat. I got a general to allow him in a boat, and he basically skipped off. But look at Benjamin's autobiography. Look it up online and read his autobiography, where he talked about he had to be very careful about what he did and what he said because people would have said he was a runaway slave. They would have known he was a runaway slave. Slave meant a term of labor. It was economic. Once you have the economics, you can change the word. You can now apply it to these people or to these people or to these people. But it's a term of labor. Why do you think they have, anytime you have a job, most places, anytime you have a job and you have labor, what do you have that comes with it?
Wage.
Okay. And who governs your wage?
Your boss.
Okay. What do you think people fight to get on jobs if there isn't already one?
Benefits? Are you talking
Nope.
about labor unions?
Union.
Union.
Where do you think the union came from? Yeah, we're just gonna learn something today. Because everything I tell you about your mind is true. You just may not have known it. I'm not saying, like I always tell you, don't follow me, follow the information. But I'm just giving you some things that you didn't know so that you can realize when I tell you some other things that sound crazy, yeah, that it's just as true as this that sounds crazy, and I'm proving to you that it's true. Where do you think unions came from? Isn't that
Revolts?
funny? Now, we all graduated from high school and nobody knows where union came from.
Is it from like revolts, like slave revolts and stuff like that, or just the people coming together?
It was from the Civil War. From the Civil War, who was the Union?
The North.
The North. The North was
North.
the Union. Who was the South?
The rebel? No.
Yeah, but what were they called?
They were
Uh,
the industrialists, right? No, they weren't industrialists.
No.
They were the farmers.
Yeah, but
Confederacy.
who were they? What were they called?
Confederacy.
Confederacy. What does
yeah.
that mean?
Good question.
So we all
Against
went through high
Union?
school, all went through history in high school, graduated. Go ahead. Who else is that?
That was
Against
20
the
years ago.
government.
Say it again.
I said against the government.
Against the government. What government were they against?
I don't know.
It's a civil war. What government are they
Oh,
against?
their own.
Who's the
The
government?
United States.
Okay, yeah, but there was no United States because that's why there's a civil war. Right? So Confederates basically means people coming together. So here's what happened. The Union is the North. When the Civil War happened, guess who the Army went with? Guess who the Army sided with? The Confederates. All what you call your U.S. Army today is basically the Army that is basically the Confederacy. They all left the North. They're like, yeah, we're not rolling with that. So then guess what? Abraham Lincoln had to ask for 75,000 soldiers. Guess where they came from? French and German immigrants. Had no battle, no war, they had no war experience, nothing. Some of your highest decorated officers in the Confederacy were Black. The top of the top. That Confederate flag that you think that the Ku Klux Klan took and made, no, that's not true. That flag had been out there and was celebrated by all kind of Native Americans. They was in all kind of tribes, and they had their tribe name on there and everything. This is real history. Not black, not white. I'm just talking about the truth. Right? So that flag, the actual flag that the Ku Klux Klan rolled with was the American flag. The Union was the North. So Union's job, right, is to work on wages. Originally, slave wages. So when they say, oh, this is slave labor, they got us out here slaving, they got us out here laboring. Yeah, this is what this actually is. So when they had to decide how they're going to come together, they didn't come together on lifestyle, they came together on wages. They said, you know what? We need people to work, and we don't have time to be doing all this other stuff. The higher good is being at risk. So let's what? If we want you to give up your slaves, which were Black and white, slave is an economic term. It's not a color. Once you got the money, you cannot be racist if you don't have any money. All you can be is prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not synonymous. They're not the same thing. You cannot be racist if you don't have any money. You can be prejudiced, but you cannot be racist. You don't have the clout. You don't have the resources to dictate someone else's life. You can go to school here. You can't go to school here. You can move here. You can't move here. You can't do that. You don't have the juice to do it. You can be prejudiced, but we all have prejudices. When you go into 31 flavors, like Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, yeah, when you go into 31 flavors, you have a prejudice. You know what? I don't really like that color. I don't really like that flavor. I don't really like that. But what does it matter if you have no money? They're going to tell you to get out. You can't be racist. You can't be a patron with no money. You can't be racist with no resource. You can be prejudiced without it. You can have preferences. You can be prejudiced, but you cannot be racist. That requires resources. So when in this country, like Dr. Claude Anderson talked about, what was the original race? Anybody know when they talk about racism, what was the original race? Yes. So you don't answer because I already told you.
The indigenous people?
No, racism means to keep things as they are. Race is talking about, the color of people now, right? But originally racism was the race that all the European countries were having to get to what they call this new land. Because all of them were broke, beat up, beat down, and in the dark. And people like Christopher Colombo, and all them were like, hey, he was a discoverer. Well, what does the word discover mean? Like we talked about, what does that mean? What does that word mean? Don't say, what does that word mean?
To uncover.
Yep. What is the original word?
That's not
Yes.
the name been found yet.
Discover. It is a compound word. Discover. Not this. So Cisco, I see your head turned to the side. If you are in your house and let's just say you have a little brother and he's in the bed sleep and his and the covers are over his head. And your mom walks in and says, Cisco, where's your brother? Because she doesn't see him. You like, oh, he's over there. You pull the blanket off. You have discovered him.
Mm-hmm.
You have shown your mother something you already knew to be true. You didn't find him. You knew where he was. He was just covered up. But you knew he was there. But somebody else did not. Discover, the original word for discover is informant. A discoverer is an informant. You informed your mom who was there that she didn't know was there or didn't know where it was. That's why Christopher Columbus is given that title, discover. That's what that word means, because he went back to the king and queen of Spain and was like, hey, I know there's some people over here. I need some money for a voyage. He was doing crowdfunding. He was looking for investors to go on the ship because he had already been there. He already knew. See, all this stuff people don't know. This is real history. People don't know. So that's why a lot of stuff that we think, why is this happening? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because with the information you have, it can't. Because it's not true. They don't match up. It's a round peg and a square hole. And you just keep jamming it in because people tell you that that's what it is. It's not the truth, right? So a lot of people don't know the truth about anything. So essentially, long story short, what the Union and the Confederates came to an agreement was, look, you're going to have to get rid of this type of slave labor, so to speak. So we are going to pay you for that. We're going to give you some money for that. Because the Union North didn't have any soldiers. So Abraham Lincoln asked for 75,000, but he was getting people coming from France and Germany with no fighting skills. All the Confederate, the U.S. Army, those were trained people. They couldn't win that war. They were getting their head handed to them. They couldn't get that war at all. So then guess they made compromises. Why do you think the original capital of America was Philadelphia? They moved it to D.C. because D.C. is a southern state. It's not an East Coast state. It's a southern state. So that was one of the compromises they made, moving the capital from Philly to DC. Right? So like I said, I could go on and on and on, but the point is that there's so much about what we don't know. And a lot of it is how to think. We have been misled on how to think. I watch so many of you on here struggling to get clients and all kind of other stuff. And it's so unnecessary. But it's because you've been taught how to do something. So they tell you got to get on here and do 50,000 lives, 85,000 chats, do 70,000 hours worth of marketing. You got to go on here and pass flyers out to everyone you know. You got to chase people down. You got to be out here putting flyers on everybody's cars. So everybody in the neighborhood hates you. You done knocked on everybody's door. Now everybody hiding when they see you walk by. You're not even going to their door. They hiding on the couch like it's some kind of shooting, ducking, hitting the ground as soon as you walk down the block, because you've been told you got to do all kind of other stuff instead of realizing like, okay, if I am who we say we are on this call, what do I want? Well, I want to have a business. Cool. Well, in order for me to have a business, I got to have somebody to sell something to. But people, you're only been taught the first half about to create a business. Nobody's ever taught you or told you to create the client that goes with it. Has anybody ever had a brother or sister and you walk into their room and they're playing make-believe and they got 5 dolls standing up on the thing, or they got Legos statuines on there and they're talking to them and they're like, okay, watch me dance, right? Watch me sing, watch me rap. Well, they created an audience. You can do the same thing with the client you're looking for will come to you if you are who you are, who you're supposed to be. Meaning, okay, I have a business, so I am a business owner. Well, what else am I? Well, I'm a successful business owner. Well, if I'm a successful business owner, then that means I got to have somebody I'm selling this to. Okay, well, I don't care who I sell it to. I just want somebody to buy it. So then I'm a successful business owner who has a multitude of clients who love to pay me what I want, love what I have to offer, love to refer others to do the same, and always pay me on time or up front. I got a business. I got tired of people paying me late. I got tired of net 30. I was like, man, you know what? If I am who I say I am, I'm about to stop all this because it's not what I want. I don't care what you want. You can have net 30, net 90. You can do whatever you want, but that's the point. You can do whatever you want. This is your experience. You can do whatever you want. But we haven't been taught that. We've been told that we have to do what everybody else wants. So you get into a business, you don't make money for first 2 to 5 years or whatever else it is, and you wonder why you hate it, wonder why you're miserable, wonder why you broke, but you're supposed to be an entrepreneur because that's the only way to freedom. And that's the people tell you all kind of stuff, and you run around just chasing everything. Most of us are too busy to get anything done. Like, I'll slow it down. Most of us are too busy to actually get anything done, to accomplish anything. I got people who can't go 5 minutes without looking at their watch. I got people who can't go 5 minutes without looking at their phone. I got people who can't do one thing at a time for 5 minutes. I don't care what it is. They can't watch a movie for 5 minutes without eating. They can't walk down the street 5 minutes without changing their mind and going back and doing something. Like, they cannot keep a constant thought. Most people are never present. They're not present. Most of us are never present. We're always either living in the past or afraid of the future. We're always suffering from the past or anxious about what we think is going to come. So our present is always somewhere else. We're never present. And we wonder why we can't get anything done. But what do you tell a 6-year-old when they're supposed to be doing their homework and they're running around? What do you tell them? What do we say? Focus. Well, guess how many 6-year-olds we got on this call? And hell, if you on the call and you're wise enough to be here, guess what the other people are doing? They worse off than you, worse off than us, worse off than me. We're at least trying to listen. Just think about the people who aren't even hearing information like this. Not me, but information like this from somewhere. I don't care where you hear it from. I don't care if a dog is telling you the truth. Sit down, shut up, and listen. Be quiet. What? What did you say? I don't care where it comes from. A cat, a bird, I don't care where it comes from, as long as it's truth. Right? But most of us are on here and we can focus long enough to get on here. What about the people who don't and who can't get on things like this call? Wherever you get it from. We wonder why we're losing. We can't focus. We're too busy to actually accomplish anything. We can't keep our mind and still our mind on something long enough to actually hear ourselves. As soon as we get on the car, what do?
Turn on the music.
As soon as we get home, what do?
Turn on TV.
Before we go to bed, what's the last thing we're doing?
On the phone.
When we wake up, what's the first thing? Besides going to the bathroom, before you brush your teeth, bathroom is probably the only thing that can't wait. Let's just say for most people when they wake up first. But after that, what's the first thing you do?
Check your phone.
Don't even say hi to the person next to you or in the house. Your response, and take their phone to the bathroom. You ain't seen the cat. They wake up, they leave in the dark and come back in the daylight. You don't even say hello to the person in the house or the person next to you or whatever. They don't see you for a good 20, 30 minutes when you first wake up. You're always somewhere else. The people who got you doing this are controlling the way you think, and you think you're free. You think you're free because you don't see anybody around telling you what to do. Yeah, they're doing it remotely. It's remote programming. That's why you have a remote. That's why it's programming. So it's television. You're being programmed remotely. The people who, is anybody making the shows that they're watching on TV? Is anybody here watching their own original content? So you're not really making anything. You don't really have a decision. You're just picking from the choices that somebody else gave you. You don't have a choice. You're just choosing from what you have. You don't have a choice. So then how do you know what they made that for? How do you even know what's in it? We don't. But we think we grown because we got the remote, got our feet up, nobody can tell us nothing, and we watching whatever it is. We're not. We're just being led astray. We're being led around by our ear, led around by our nose. We don't know the truth about anything. Law, health, history. On here, we're just talking about one aspect, just the mind, how to think. That is the most important one. That's why it's all I talk about. I can go on law for just as much as I do this, history, much as I do this, health, much as I do this, and tell you the truth about any or all of those things. We go on for months, years, because you don't know. Why not? Graduated from high school. We don't know what the Union is, what it's created for. We don't know the Confederacy. We don't know black people were in the Klan. We don't know any of these things, but they were. We don't know what slave means, actually. We don't. So then we wonder why our life doesn't make sense to us because we don't have any information. Right? We don't have truth. Something as simple as the word nice. Right? Something as simple as that we learned today for some of us that are new. Right?
Mm.
But it's on the same internet that you're looking on all the time. It's the same internet you on the gram, same internet you on TikTok on, same internet you're on Facebook to keep in touch with our family. Why does everybody say that? It's just, I mean, do people only people who need it that bad believe that's actually like a real, or like people really believe that. So let me get this straight. So you couldn't talk to none of those people before Facebook. You couldn't talk to none of them. This is the first time you've seen your cousin ever. Or this is the first time you talked to Pedro in the Dominican ever. You didn't have no phone before. You couldn't text before. This is the first time you could take pictures. You saying this is the first, like, what are we doing here? Oh, well, I gotta be on the ground. I gotta be like the same internet has all the same information that you can live a better life on. But instead over here, you're just entertaining yourself. Most people don't really want to live a better life. They just want to be entertained. They just want to feel better about how bad it is. They just want to be entertained. That's why most people can't wait to get to the weekend. Most people can't wait to have the next barbecue, the next reunion, they waiting because their weekdays are miserable. That's why people are tired all the time. People don't even like coffee. They need it. You don't even like it. You need it. Because you stay up too late. Why you do that? Well, when you wake up in the morning, you got to do what you got to do. Then you got to do what you got to do all day. None of that really you wanted to do, but you got to do it. So then you come home, then you finish the rest of what you got to do. You got to cook, you got to clean, feed the kids and everything like that. So now it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And guess whose time it is now? Oh, it's my time. Well, yeah, so with your time, you spent 21 hours doing nothing you wanted to do. Now you got 3 more left. So now you're going to be like, well, this is me. Now you stay up till 10:30, 11, 12, and you got to wake back up at 6. And guess what? 6 o'clock is waiting on you like this. Yeah, it's me. It's me. Wake up. And you like, oh, and it's like, wake up. And you like, oh, you staggering out the bed, staggering down the steps to the coffee pot. You need that coffee. You need that. You are Chris Rock in New Jack City. It be calling you. It just be calling me. If you don't, okay, I want everybody to go out here on Monday with no coffee. No coffee for the whole day. It will be another war. It will be another war. Yes.
George said, which is true, because he said, the more I learn, the more I understand how much I don't know.
Yes, that's why I love learning. That's why I love learning. Because I'm like, for real? Well, what else is out here I didn't know? It's wonderful. It's like the greatest adventure of all time, like Indiana Jones. I'm like some kind of treasure hunter. It's just wonderful. I don't even get mad. I just like to know. When I first started learning stuff, I used to be mad all the time. I was like your boy, the Mad Rapper back in the day. Remember that? Why he do it, son? And why he get to go drive backwards in the rain? And I was all of that. I was mad at everything and everybody all the time. Right? I used to want to go in Safeway and throw all the toothpaste with fluoride in it, just knock it all down. This is rat poison for your brain. It's the chief ingredient of rat poison. Right? Hitler used to use this in the gas chambers and when I first learned stuff, I used to be just out of my mind. I used to be like, right? Yeah. Right? Now I'm just like, wow, really? Okay, well, let's check that off the box. Right? I'm just going to go that way with that one. Right? But saying all that to say, we're all living these lives and we're so uneducated and misinformed and misled. And it's not our fault. We're not crazy. We've just been conditioned. And I could talk about, like I said, law, health, history, and give you guys all kind of stuff. But the reason I give you this is because I've learned that all that stuff is not going to save you in and of itself either. It's not going to save you. We got Juneteenth. What's that got to do? What's that going to do? Is that going to stop you from getting pulled over? That going to stop you from racism? What that holiday do? What does that do? What does that change? People don't even know what Juneteenth is. And they celebrating it. Now, I ain't mad. I'm celebrating it because it's a day off. I'll take it. I ain't mad at it. Shoot, if I don't take it, it ain't going to change nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and take it. But at least I know what it is. But most of us are celebrating stuff we don't even know what it is. Right? So I say all this to say that a lot of our issues are just ignorance. It's not that we're stupid, or it's not even that we're lazy. The reason we're mad is because we're not stupid or lazy, but we don't know that we don't know. But even after I've learned all these things, I give you the mind because that's the thing I run on now, because I realize that knowing all this other stuff still don't really help. It doesn't really help the way you want. It's not salvation. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. That's all I want for you all. It's salvation, meaning what? To be free. Meaning what? To be free to be whatever you want to be. A photographer, have your own business, be a good parent, be whatever it is you want to be. That's all I want for you. And all those other things are not going to really help you do that. Oh, it's nice information to know. It may change a little couple moves you make, but it's not the real thing. It is not really gonna do that. But what we talk about every Saturday, that's gonna do it. Be still and know that I am is God. I am is the highest level of authority. Your awareness of being is the highest level of authority. And if you would sit down, people want to call it meditation. People want to call them affirmations. Those are all just words and techniques. The point of it is, if you sit down for a couple minutes without the TV on, without the radio on, without looking at your watch, look at they have found a way to occupy every minute of your day. The phone don't got to be in your hand. They got the watch on you. The watch ain't got to be on you. The TV's in front of you. They have found a way to occupy because they know how to think. And they understand that your attention is you. Your attention is you. Where you focus your gaze is you focusing your gaze. And if they can keep that on all the things that don't add up to anything, you will work every day and still have nothing. That is why most of us are so mad and upset all the time. That's what road rage is. That's all this stuff is just all of our emotions boiling over. Because we're like, damn, I'm working every day. I'm getting up. I got a little plaque that says, never missed a day in 2 years. I done got a pen. They done gave me a button and everything else. And I'm like, but it's still not adding up. What am I missing here? Right? We're missing the truth. Only the truth sets you free. Working overtime ain't gonna do it. Working overtime ain't gonna do it. Getting married ain't gonna do it. Right? Lifting more weights ain't gonna do it. You being a vegan ain't gonna do it. Right? You eating gummies and CBD ain't gonna do it. All that stuff is just temporary. It's just temporary. Oh, it'll do it for a second. That's why you do it. But that's why you can't stop doing it. Because that second is only a second. It runs out. Now what? We're talking about freedom where you don't have to go back. We're talking about eliminating recidivism, right? When you go out of jail and you turn right around, you come right back, you turn right around like one of those hotel doors that goes like that in a circular. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're frustrated all the time because we realize the work ain't working. And what do they tell you? Grind. That means work on steroids now. Let's just 10x it now. You got to work harder. I mean, is anybody buying 25 hours a day? Is there some kind of package that we can get to get more hours? Anybody got 6 fingers now and 7 toes? How much more are you going to do before this works? How long do you have to wait? When is this going to work out? Right? I mean, am I the only one that felt like that? Am I the only one that just says, this is not what? What is happening here? Because we're actually not doing the thing that's going to change anything. That's what we talk about here every Saturday. What does it take to actually change some stuff? And we're saying that the PG version, because I know sometimes when we get mad, we say, what is this going to take to change some? You know what I'm saying, right? What is this going to take? Right? This is on these Saturday calls, right? I'm usually not, I'm on my, I'm on my elite pastor thing today. I'm sweating already and everything is all, I'm just going all the way off the top now, right? But the reason we do this every Saturday is so that we can calm our mind, learn how to think, and apply more wisdom and skill to our life, realizing, okay, listen, the highest authority in our life, singularly, for all of us as individuals, is I am, is what you proclaim or profess yourself to be first person. That is just consciousness. It's just your awareness of being. That's the authority of your life. Whatever you decide to condition that into, meaning, okay, I am now this. The awareness of being was in dark and it said, let there be light. That awareness of being said, let there be light. So light came. Looks like it's still working to me. So light is something that you can create. You can create anything in your life. You're always creating things in your life because you are the only creator. God is the only creator. There's only one creator. There's only one. Your consciousness, which people call God, which that book called I Am, your awareness of being is the creator. You are creating everything in your life. Most of us just do it in ignorance and therefore by default. So we're walking backwards, running into everything. We're doing the same thing as somebody walking forward, but we're walking backward so they don't hit things and we run into everything. We are not doing something different. We're just doing it differently. What we're here now is to do the same thing that we've been doing, but correctly. It means, okay, if I'm the creator of my life by my awareness of being, my consciousness is the creator. What do I want as consciousness to create for myself? What do I want things to be? How do I want things to be? Right? Okay, I want this. I want a business. I want to make this much money. I want to be happily and blissfully married. I want to be in perfect health. I want to have great relationships. I want to have 2 kids. I want to, whatever it is that's created, you created it. Everything you see in the world, I am, even if it was someone else, right? They are, or he is, was I am that created it. So collectively, we are creating the world. Individually, you are creating your world. You're creating your world by using your consciousness to now say, okay, I'm consciously choosing to be X. What we're doing now is unconsciously believing ourselves to be Y. Why? Because someone told us that. Someone said this is what you should be. Someone says this is what you should do. Someone says this is what you should have. Someone else says you should just be grateful. Someone else says, well, there's starving children in Africa. Someone else says, well, somebody always has it worse than you. There's always people telling you what you should be, what you should do, what you should accept. And it's never you. And then when it is you, either you don't believe in yourself enough to do that, or you allow people to talk you out of it by calling you arrogant, egotistic. That's just your ego. That's just your all the other stuff, which people use all kind of words. They don't even know what they mean. But we just all get around each other. And since they don't know what it means, and I don't know they don't know what it means, then I don't know what it means either, based on what they told me. And none of us don't know that none of us know what it means. But since none of us know what it means, nobody knows that none of us know what it means. We don't know we're wrong. So we spent $79.99 on this membership, $59.99 on this membership. We're in this group, that group, this group, that group, this group, that group. And so we're in so many groups. We tell everybody how many groups we've been in, how many coalitions we're in, how many meetups we've been to, how many this and that and this and that. And so we're trying to get success in the aggregate. We're saying if I can just get to 50 meetings a day, then maybe I can get one thing right. By the time you got out of 50 meetings, A, you're exhausted, B, you're confused, and C, you don't have nothing left to do what you learned anyway. By the time you get ready to apply, you passed out. You woke up the next morning and you got to get to another meeting. You just get stuck in a cycle, in a circle. And you've never once listened to yourself. You've never once heard yourself. Do you know what's the most terrifying thing in the world to most people? Silence. Silence will scare the hell out of most people. They can't handle it. That's why literally, what do we say? As soon as you get in the car, what do you do? As soon as you get home, what do you do? All day, you constantly keep yourself distracted. You don't want to know what you think. Not really. You don't want to know how you feel. Not really. So you don't know what you think, so you distract yourself. You don't want to know how you feel, so you drug yourself, whether it's entertaining yourself, whether it is literal drugs, whether it is all the other things. You literally don't want to know. But if you don't want to know how you feel, then you don't really want to know you. And if you don't really want to know you, then you don't know you. And if you don't know you, how can you be successful? How do you think you run a business and it's not you? Does anybody think that's weird? Like everybody's talking about the expression of something, but no one wants to talk about the expressor. How do you think you're going to have a business that is better than you? When I ask most people to describe their business, do you know what I get? Arabic. That's what it sounds like. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. It gets complicated so fast. I'm like, wow, man, how many languages do you speak? Only just one, just English. Well, what did you just tell me then? What? I thought that was another language. I ask you your name, right? And they'll say Leonard. All right, Leonard, what do you do? Well, what I do, brother, is so what I do is I take the nighttime and then I rewind it to the right time, right? Because that's the best time to have my time, right? And then what I'm looking for next is gym time, right? Because then what I'm gonna do, like, it literally sounds like that. I don't even know what you do. You can't even explain to me what you do, but you've taken like this 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 gumbo jambalaya mix of all these different things, all these different teachers and teachings, and you're trying to figure out how to make them all come together like it's some kind of old quilt. And it's not. You're not making one unified thing to be warm with. You are just literally confusing yourself. And you wonder why your business is confused. You wonder why you're exhausted and worn out and you've worked all day, because all you did really was you didn't even work. You just labored. You just labor. You work, right, to get paid. Is that correct? Isn't that what you work? Okay. So you can work then without laboring. You can actually do that. But most of us are just laboring. We're not really working. That's why we don't actually get paid what we want, because we're just laboring. Because anybody can labor. Anybody can labor. You know what the least valuable thing you have besides actually living in it is your body. Because everybody has one. The only separator between your body and another body is the mind. That's the only place you can actually be that much different than someone else. Are you that much faster? Are you that much taller? There's only very few people who are that much physically different. There's only very few people. That's why they're called giants, right? That's why it's Usain Bolt, right? That's why there's very few people who are that much faster. They stand out. There's not that many of them. So that means there's not that many people in front of you stopping you from being successful. Just knock that off. There's not that many people doing business at the level that stops you from doing business at your desired level. Just knock that off. There's not that many people hating on you. There's not that many people. It's you, man. Newsflash. There's a couple news flashes today. Since a lot of you guys like to watch the news, here's some news flashes. And guess what? I'm going to put in shorts for you. Make them easy. Because, we're going to keep the 5-second, focus level. We're going to keep it like that today. Right? Newsflash, you're not black. Okay? Newsflash, you're not white. Newsflash, you're not a man. Newsflash, you're not a woman. Newsflash, that's not who you are. That's what you're in. That's what the body you have occupied is called, but that's not what you are. Until and unless you separate that, you are going to be limited. You're going to be limited because that is a limited thing. It's not limited like it's bad. It just means it's limited, meaning it only has a prescribed set of abilities for a reason. Your body's not designed to go with you. Let's just say it this way, to heaven or hell. We'll just use it the old way, thinking about it for a second. That's why dead, good or bad, the body's right there. It's not designed to go with you anyway, because it's not you, it's yours. Guess what else you leave in your coat, your money, your house, your car, because they're not you. That's why they all stay. Okay. So when I say you're not black, when I say you're not a woman, I'm not trying to get you to be some kind of weirdo and be like, I'm not here. No, I don't mean that, right? I'm simply saying to you, that is what you're in, but that's not your true identity. And I am attempting to get you to identify with your true identity, which is unlimited. When you identify with your true identity, which is unlimited, then you'll realize, why not? Why not me? Why can't I be a millionaire? Why not? What else is God supposed to be? Why are you praying to a guy that lives check to check like you? What do you need to talk to that cat for? If you wouldn't pray to a God like that, then why would you tolerate that for yourself? What honor is there in that? What can you do with that? What do you think you're learning from that? What do you think there's value in that for? There's not. But we have made what's common correct. We've made common and correct synonymous. Well, everybody, what does that mean? Well, it's flu season. What does that mean? That means you got to get it? Well, everybody says that. That means you got to say it? Well, everybody thinks like that. That means you got to think like that? Haven't you realized what's common is not correct? What has been normalized is actually not normal. It's not normal to be broke. It's normalized. Well, why is it not normal? Look outside. Does any part of nature look broke? That's you. You're looking at yourself, meaning something you created. Didn't the leaves just come back on the tree? Coming out of winter, and didn't they just pop back up? Some of them even hardly never left. Doesn't the sun still show up? Doesn't the moon still show up? Well, I mean, it's a long, if you are who we say you are, right? With God, universe, infinite intelligence. Do you know how long that is? Do you know how long eternity is to be broke? Do you know how long can you live check to check? Forever? Like that's what you really want to do? You really want to do? Really? Really? That's what you want to do? Like today I didn't plan on it, but I'm rambling because I want you to understand that we talk about what we talk about for a reason. It's not to come together and have another group. You guys are already in enough and probably too many. Just be honest here. Some of you guys, I'm like, are you some kind of FedEx worker or some kind of postal worker? Because you're jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, like you like the world's greatest long jumper, and you in too many things. But you think that the more you get into, the more likely you're going to finally hear what you need. But guess where that comes from? Comes from the in. But you won't get quiet enough to hear it. You think you got to meditate. No, it just means sit down and shut up. Just like you would tell a 8-year-old in class that's acting a fool, standing on the table in the back, running around, sit down and be quiet. You can't learn anything otherwise. How are you going to learn who you are if you won't be quiet? How are you going to learn who you are if you're always looking at your watch, always looking at your phone, always listening to the radio, always watching TV, you're always on social this, you're always on that. You're afraid of yourself. I wonder why I'm afraid of my thoughts. Stranger danger. That's why. You don't know yourself. You should be afraid. This stranger danger, champ. That's what this is. You don't know you any more than you know the dude across the street, any more than you know what's down that dark alley. You are more afraid of you than anything you think you're afraid of because you don't know you, because you won't sit down and be quiet. And it doesn't mean you have to close your eyes. You could drive in the car. Anybody take a nice drive and been thinking to themselves, see what you come up with, right? Anybody take a walk around the block? You don't have to sit down and be quiet. I'm just saying be quiet. Be quiet. You sit down,
Hey,
what was that? Is that the Bad Boys, the new one? All right, hold on. Right? We literally cannot focus. And you wonder why you're insane, why you're crazy, why you feel crazy. It's because we are not using what's in us. You have the ability to regulate your thoughts, to regulate your mind. It's your mind. How can you not control it? It's your mind. If you get behind the wheel of a car talking about, I can't control it, I'm getting out. That's it. If you're in your mind and you can't control it, who's supposed to do that? Oh, don't worry though. There's some people that'll do it. There's some people that'll do it. There's some companies who get rich off a show helping you do that. Xanax, anyone? Anybody want any other? Oh yeah, they'll. If you can't do it, I'll help, and I'll get rich off of helping you do something you're supposed to be doing for yourself. Don't worry, I help. Oh, and don't run out. Don't run out. Oh, don't run out. Then what? And did it fix anything? No. You'll be right back tomorrow because you need to come back because you haven't controlled you. You haven't learned how to control your mind. No, I don't choose to think that. You're grown. You can decide what you eat. You can't decide what you think. Are you grown or not? A 5-year-old can decide what they want to eat. That don't make you grown. A 5-year-old has to learn how to control what they think and their behavior. That's what parents are for. Well, that's your maturity is to control you. I don't choose to think that. Not going to do that. I choose to think this. Yeah, I understand that thought came. Someone knocked on my door too. I ain't got to answer it. It's my house, right? Isn't that what you say? It's my house. I ain't got to answer that. It's my phone. Just because somebody calling don't mean I got to pick it up. I can choose. I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't. I'm saying choose. That's what mature people do, is they choose. Right? Thoughts are, what's the difference between a thought, the door being rung or the doorbell, and a phone ringing? What's the difference? Not. They're all choices. Do you want to answer that or not? You have thoughts, 60 to 70,000 of them a day, they say. Mature people choose which ones they take. There's 8 billion people in the world. Are you friends with everybody? Do you want to be friends with everybody? Do you have time to be friends with everybody? No, you pick the people that are more or most conducive to who you think you are and the life you think you want to live. Well, there's 60, 70,000 thoughts. You better start picking, and picking wisely, because you can't work your way out of ignorance. That's why we started this call, just telling you certain things about history, about this or that, because we don't know. And we wonder why certain things are the way they are. This is why things are the way they are. If you want to live better, you have to learn how to think. In order to learn how to think, it's a skill. It's a practice. It's a practice. One of which is sitting down and just being quiet. And you don't have to call it no meditation. You don't have to, it's not that deep. Just sit down. Start with a minute if you have to. For 1 minute, I am not going to be distracted. I don't care if the phone, literally, unless a bulldozer comes through this house, or an earthquake happens, or some kind of lightning rod strikes us. Wherever I am for this 1 minute is non-negotiable. It's not for anyone but me. I don't care who it is. It's not for anyone but me. If everyone's relying on you, then guess what? You better be the best you can be. Everything you're doing is relying on you. Your body, your business, your mind, your relationships, your this, your that. They're all possessions of you, so they go according to you. And a lot of you are lifting weights you can't lift. So you got a hernia. You done blew out your back, busted your knees up. You're lifting weights you can't lift. You're not that strong. You're not ready for that. Right? So we're trying to run businesses, trying to have relationships, trying to have lives, trying to drive cars, trying to do this, trying to do that. And we're not built like that. We haven't developed ourselves to that. We can't spend 1 minute with ourselves. But yet we expect ourselves to perform like it has been given the utmost care and support and everything like that. It hasn't. It hasn't. Let go of all the cliches and all the other stuff. It doesn't help. It ain't helping. That's not helping. And you ain't figured that out yet. It's not helping. Right? That's why we're here, because we want to know what's actually making all this stuff work. What's actually happening here? Right? And that's what we are remembering now. We're reminding ourselves of every weekend. We are realizing every weekend that if you want to take control of your life, this physical experience you have, this thing you came here to do, then guess what? You're going to have to take control of your mind. That is life. Your body's just the expression of it. Your mind is life. It's just using your body to do it. Right? That's it. You're just using your car to get somewhere. You're just using your body to get somewhere. You just use the physical things to express what it is, whatever experience you have or having. If you want to live a better physical experience, you're going to have to think differently. You're going to have to think better things. It's just, thought is just the ingredient that fixes the dish. Physical world is just the dish. All right. Anybody have anything they want to say about that before I, go on to what else I was going to go on to? But no,
Had a whole hour rant.
that's it, man. Because seriously, we gotta change this up, right? We're working too hard. It's not that hard. It's serious. That's why we're here. This is important. We want to have a good time. We want to win, but we're just working and we're not thinking, and we're not even working. We're just laboring. Most of us are slaves. You just don't realize it. When you got a bill you can't pay, what do you think that is? When you got a health condition you can't fix, what do you think that is? When you got a relationship you don't like and can't fix, what do you think that is? Okay. When you have all these things that you feel enslaved by, captured by, right? That you look up and you're like, oh God, right? What do you think that is? You think you got to be behind jail, behind actual physical bars? You already in them. You just are used to them, right? And we got to get out. But you can't do that until you start changing what you choose to think, what you choose to tell yourself about any and every given thing, right? Okay, yes, yes. George,
Hey, coach.
yes, sir.
This is I'm in here. I'm like, is he talking to me? Is what's going on? They say a hit dog a holler. So nah, but I just wanted to say that it's like getting on the call with you on the weekend is like a friendly reminder. It's like cause like how you said, we just out here doing the best we can do. We in this group, we in that group, book club, all that stuff, and we just doing off of what we know to be right. And that's why I'm in so many groups. Well, not that many, but that's why I'm in different groups, because I like to get the different perspective. And it kind of like the old Abraham Lincoln quote. I learn something from everyone I meet, even if with what not to do. So it's kind of like a recalibration. And that's why I say, like, even when I come to your class on Saturday, it is like a friendly reminder, like, hey, everything that they show you, it ain't what you think it is. Like, you remind me of my mom, because my mom was a history teacher, and she always told me, she even told me this about her. She said, trust everything I tell you, but you got to go verify it yourself.
Yes.
You got to go do your own due
I
diligence.
tell my daughter that all the time. Yes.
Well, you had a parenting twin, because my mom.
Yes.
But I really appreciate it. I was about to turn you off because I was like, he's telling me to get out of these groups and stay in the group. But I was like, but no, I really appreciate the perspective that you give us. And yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Let me tell you this, and then I know we have another question. I see the young lady over there. Does everybody know that when Abraham Lincoln became president, do you know who his vice president was? I'm gonna let you guys look up the name, but I want you to know this. Do you know that his vice president was a pro-slavery Democrat? He brought into his cabinet a pro-slavery Democrat. So he's the second in charge, right? So something happens to Abraham Lincoln, guess what? What do you think, what happened when Abraham Lincoln got assassinated? What happened in America? What happened? Anybody remember? Remember how so-called black people were supposed to get a whole bunch of rights and Reconstruction and all this? Anybody remember that? They're going to get a whole bunch of rights. And then guess what? Soon as he died, dude stepped in. Yeah. And if you were that concerned about slavery and freeing slaves, why would you hire this next person in charge who is the exact opposite? Look it up. Look up Abraham Lincoln second in command. Dude was a pro-slavery, like a vicious one. That wasn't what Abraham Lincoln was trying to do. It was never what he was trying to do. He just had no choice but to do it if he wanted a perfect union. He was never going to get rid of that because it was not a color originally. It was an economic term of labor. That's why it was called labor. It wasn't called work. It was labor, for which you get paid not enough. That's why you have a union to negotiate it. You can't even do it yourself. Yeah, so a lot of things when we talk about history and we talk about a lot of things just don't make sense because we haven't been told the truth. But we think that somebody else should tell us, and we don't spend any time seeking it out. But we'll spend all our time on social media seeking everything out. I just saw a video, I know in California is big. I don't know how big it is everywhere, but when Kendrick basically killed Drake with the last one, they not like us, right? When he basically, that was it, right? Put him to sleep. Well, in California, that's a big song. So like I saw one of the kids that I trained sent me like a little thing, and it showed everybody out there dancing to the song and things like that. And like I said at the beginning of the class, in Oakland, only one out of every 10 kids who graduate high school, these are graduates. Only one out of those 10 are math proficient, and only 2 out of those 10 are reading proficient. And these are graduates. But you turn on that clip, boy, and they dancing like they're the 5 Heartbeats, like they the Temptations, like they B2K, they out there dancing, boy, like, and can't read or count. right? We value in ignorance, just not just as people in the world, not a color, as people in the world, value in ignorance. I don't. It's a badge of honor to say I don't know. I don't know. Did you think before you answered? No. Yeah. So people like Abraham Lincoln, it was never about that. But we don't know history. We don't know that, right? But none of that stuff happens by accident. There's so many. There's a book called None Dare Call It. None Dare Call It. Consequent. What is it? None Dare Call It a Consequence. None Dare Call It a Coincidence. It's a book with a white cover. It's called. I think it's called None Dare Call It a Coincidence. And it basically talks about politicians on there talking about how everything that happens for a reason. Nothing is unplanned. What you call coincidence, what you call stock market crash, yeah, that's not real. These are not. This is not a conspiratorial book. These are written by actual senators and people sitting in Congress and sitting in these different, saying, yeah, this is not, stuff doesn't just happen for no reason, right? But I don't talk about these things because, yeah, we can go into that and it's true, but what's that going to do if you still know how to think? So I'm always giving you the stuff that matters the most, because this is what you can change your life with. All this stuff, you can be like, yeah, I know it, and talk like you know everything and all. But what's that got to do with your checkbook? What's that got to do with your blood pressure? Guess what? Everyone's conservative when your blood pressure is getting checked. Everybody's conservative when your bank account is being looked at. Everybody gets real tight then. It gets real particular and real specific. Right? It's not, we're not talking about, my point with the Abraham Lincoln thing was that, just like they say in Cuba and Puerto Rico, it's two wings of the same bird. Guess what? So is the Republicans and Democrats. It's two wings of the same bird. That's why he brought into his cabinet a pro-slavery racist, essentially. And he was a racist because he had the juice to make it happen, even though, guess what? He was illiterate, couldn't read or write. Couldn't read, couldn't read or write. Documented, couldn't read or write. And he's the vice president. But they tell you to vote. Okay, you go ahead and go rock the vote. Remember who was saying that? Remember that? Remember that? Anybody remember that? Think about it. Who was saying rock the vote? We don't have, they shall not be named, but who was saying rock the vote maybe about 10 years ago? It was all on BET talking about rock the vote and had the t-shirt and everything. Anybody remember that? There you
Same
go.
person that had a video floating around the other day.
Right. But he's telling you to vote. You think he cares anything about you? You think he knows anything? Like, no. These people are being used to do this, this, and this, and they got you following them. And you're out there dancing, got you following them. And then you see stuff like this. You know how long that video, how old that video is? Because they don't tell you the truth. They hold it. If they want to tell you, they do. If they don't, they don't. What do you think? That just happened yesterday? That stuff has been happened, but nobody knows. So then they don't know what happened. So then you listen to somebody that you would never listen to if you knew better, but you don't know better. That's the point. We're listening to people that if we knew better, we wouldn't. But we don't know better, and they know you don't. Because guess what? You got a nice little Apple Watch on, and you're going to look at that every 2 seconds. You got a phone, you're going to look every 2 seconds. Social media, you're going to look every 2 seconds. The radio in the car, you're going to listen to. It's going to keep going and going and going. And the people you listen to, then he come on, rock the vote. Out there, do a couple dances. Yeah, take that. Yeah. And everybody's like, all on there. Okay. All right. Okay. Vote. And you got a pro-slavery, vicious racist, because he had the juice to actually make rules. And guess what? He's not even literate. Calling you stupid. And he's not literate. Right? So, all right. Yes.
Okay. Debonair?
Hey, good morning.
Good
Can y'all hear
morning.
me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm using my cell phone. I wasn't sure my mic was covered. So it's
No.
Devane. You got it right last time, but Devane. Okay, so Coach, first off,
Yes.
thank you. I always get juice to join this. One, because you're going to bring information. And two, you're going to have me cracking up, okay? I'll just be over here so weak.
Oh, nice.
But something that you said, like what I appreciate about being in this group is everything that you're touching on. Like I put in the chat, I haven't owned a TV since 2019. When I get in the car, I don't turn the radio on. I just cruise in silence unless it's like a long drive or something. And I share that because I have family members or friends, they'll look at me and go, "Ooh, I want your drive." And I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you what some things that I do, some things that I cut away, how I make my time work for me. And I have two examples and I have a question. One person, I told them, hey, this is what I do. I have my planner and I set my hours out to do X, Y, and Z. And they were like, great. And then they turned around and they said, well, you want me to be like you, and I don't like this, and where the conversation is going. And I was like, wait, I was just trying to help you based on your questions.
Yeah.
And then second example I have is I was talking to someone and I said, hey, I'm done sharing information because the people, not everyone, but certain people, majority, are getting offended when all I'm seeking is to help. That's it. And they said, well, you're talking to the wrong room. And I was like, well, I only talk to family, so I guess all y'all the wrong room. So my question then is, I have the zeal to provide information so that my family is also coming up as I'm coming up, but they're rejecting it. So what do you do? Like, do I just
Stop
stop
giving it.
sharing?
Stop
Say it
giving
again.
it. I mean,
Okay.
why should they be like you? I mean, you
Yeah.
love them, right? When we go to a restaurant, we like, oh man, you should do that, right? When we go see a movie, oh, you should do that. That makes sense. It's our natural inclination as humans to
Yeah.
want to share something good that we get. However, how many times you gonna keep calling them and telling them they should go to this restaurant? They the ones that gotta pay. Are you paying?
Mm,
Are you gonna come by and take them to the movie and buy popcorn and do everything else?
mm,
Right? So a lot of times I have people I love to give advice to, but I also realize that sometimes advice just comes off as another responsibility
mm,
because you're not there to help them do it.
yeah.
Right? So all they see is, I'd really like to be like you, but I got these lists of things that I already got to do. And this just seems like another thing. Right? But the thing you're giving them is actually the best thing they got. It's the
Mhm,
only thing that's actually going to work, but they have all these other things that they have put in front of. So now you're just giving them something and it's going under the pile.
mm,
So they're just like, then they feel guilty or bad or sad if they don't do it because they're going to say, hey, how's this going? And they're going to be like, so then they don't answer the phone. Or then they lie and say they did it, but you know they didn't. But it's because
right.
they don't want to disappoint you or they don't want to seem like they weren't grateful for the little bit of information or time you did spend. But
Yeah.
then they also feel obligated to it. It's almost like why teenagers don't like to ask their parents something because they want to be grown and they feel like they ask them something, they got to listen or they got to do it instead of realizing like, okay, unless they say I have to do it, let me at least get the information. Because as a teenager, I want to have more freedom. But I tell all the teenagers I work with, a fool doesn't stay free long. Ask your
Mm,
parents for the information because then you can take that information into account and to inform your decisions so that you can make the best one to have the time you want to stay free. If you just out here talking about I want to be free with no information, you a fool and you ain't gonna stay free long. You're gonna make a decision that's gonna enslave
mm,
you. Your freedom is not free. Freedom
right.
ain't free, right? So a lot of times the information we give to people just can seem like another task or another responsibility, right?
Okay.
And in two, sometimes what does it say in the book, right? Don't cast your pearls before swine.
Yeah.
Sometimes wisdom is thinking about what you tell people and don't tell people. You don't have to be mad or judge or condemn, but sometimes you got to just keep it to yourself.
Mm,
Sometimes, honestly, you got to just be glad it ain't you. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm glad that's not me. I'm glad I don't have to, talk about people or I don't have to steal or I'm glad I don't have to. Sometimes you're just glad it's not you. Sometimes you
mm,
can look at something and say, ooh, I'm glad that I've come far or, far along enough where I don't have to do that or do that anymore, or I have a better understanding. Sometimes just be glad it's not you. Sometimes you realize I'm going to give this to you, whether you like it or not. I don't care what you think or what you say. I just want to know I told you. Right.
okay.
And leave it at that. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna give this baby a $20 bill because they're gonna be slobbering on it, may rip it, and now my 20 is down the drain. That baby
Mm,
can't handle that $20 or that steak. Sometimes you got to give them nothing or give them something you don't mind them not, losing, breaking, or not
yeah,
using. Right?
that's good.
Yes.
Okay. I really have two more things, but I'm gonna just leave it at this one, if I may.
Yes.
And that is, so I started, and I know I've shared this. I started a podcast 1 April, and I found that that free time that I had is now filled with the podcast, and I'm spending way too much time on social media to make sure I'm pushing the content out. And if there's like, I'm thinking of just hiring a social media manager, but then that's money. So I don't know. I guess
What
I'm saying this to kind of get your input
what do you want? What do you want?
from the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get info. Me just leaning on to what I just said, it's really applying information out there. The podcast is focused on inner healing and development. I'm providing a lot of the tools and information that I've learned while studying psychology mixed with a little bit of biblical. So I'm all about the inner healing. I call it internal glow up. Our mental, the way people are thinking, with some practical, every episode has practical steps for listeners to apply with the
Okay.
hopes of changing
Okay,
their life.
so I'm saying to you, if if you were successful, what is
Okay.
that? What would that mean to you? Like, what does that look like? Like, if you were to say, "Oh man, I'm doing so well," what does that mean? Like, does that mean you
Okay.
have a whole bunch of followers? Does that mean you have a whole bunch of clients? What are you doing this for? What is your desired outcome? What do you?
That's so good. Okay, so the desired outcome for me overall, because podcasting has really just been a hobby, but I want my freedom of like my time freedom. So there's some other things I'm doing to get me there. Here, let me break it down like this. I don't want to be the gibberish person that you
Okay, it's
talked
okay.
that
Go
you
ahead.
said.
It's
Come
okay.
on, like blah, 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 blah. So I have a real estate that I invest in. That's going to be my passive income. And then I'll use the podcast to promote myself as a transformational speaker. So I have a website where people can go out and hire me. My success looks like speaking to the nations and providing information, transformational information.
Okay, so what does real estate have to do with that?
Real estate is going to be the passive. So as I expand my portfolio and with the income I have, then I have that passive income that allows me to focus more on producing podcast content or being available for those speaking engagements.
Is that what you want to do, or is that what you believe is the means you have to take to get what you really want?
It's a combination of both. Like I
There is
love
no
real
such
estate.
thing. There's no such
Okay,
thing.
yes, sir. Well, then
Yeah.
if there's no such thing, it's the second, it's the latter. It's what I believe to be the tool to get me to where
That's my point. If we're not clear why something's not working. What I'm saying to you is, if you want to be a real estate person and do this and do that, then do what you want to do. But what
Okay.
you're saying to me, that's why I asked you that question. There's nothing wrong with what you want to do. What I'm saying is that you're conditioning what you want to do on something else being successful. So now you're throwing something else into the mix, and now you're making another hurdle for you to jump over. You're making your ultimate desire conditioned upon something that's not even necessarily something you desire. It's just something that you're willing to do to get to this. But that's not what God did. God said, "Let there be light." It didn't say there's a payment plan. Didn't say like, "Oh, well, I have to see what 10 people say before I do it." Or what I'm saying to you is, you say, "Let there be light." What do you want? You say you want to be a transformational speaker, that something of that, right? If you don't want to do real estate, don't do real estate. I'm not saying quit. What I'm saying to you is start considering yourself what you want to be, not what you think you have to do to be it. Because all you're really focusing is on the condition. You're not even focusing on the outcome. What I'm saying is, if God says, "Well, I let there be light," well, let me see about what I got to do for there to be light. Well, light's going to be waiting for you to figure out what you're going to do. There's not going to be any light, right? What I'm saying is, if you want to be a transformational coach or whatever, what you said, I'm saying start identifying yourself as that now. Whatever that takes for that to become physical in your world, your true self will find whatever it takes to do that. It doesn't have to be real estate. That's what I mean by, as we get on all these things, everybody tells us you have to have passive income and this and that. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. There ain't nothing passive about that. That's just ownership. There ain't nothing passive about it. It's ownership. It's a different state of mind, right? And what I'm trying to get you to understand, right, is saying, okay, who do I want to be? What do I want? I want to be a transformational coach. What does real estate have to do with that? Nothing. But I told somebody I want to be a transformational coach. They sit over there in their humanity and say, "Well, in order for you to be what you want, you're going to have to do this first." Well, is that what you want to do? If that's not what you want to do, then why are you throwing that into your thing? I'm talking to you so long because this is for everyone, because we're all doing the same thing. Most of us do this exact thing. Doesn't matter if it's for something different or we pick something different. We do this. We have a desire and then we condition it. So we take a straight desire and we turn it into a calculus if-then statement. If f of x is this, if we go if this, then I can have that. But we don't realize we never get to that because we're so focused on the if and the then that we never get to that. And what I'm saying is, live in the end, go to the end. What do you want? Let there be light. There was nothing leading up to that. Light. Okay, I am a transformational coach. Great. Keep doing your real estate. I'm not saying quit anything. What I'm saying is that as you start to identify yourself with your end, the end has its own way of filling itself out. It's an idea. That's why you can express it. That's why you're clear about that part. That's why you can taste it, touch it, feel it. It's real to you. And, and everything it takes for that to be real is in you. But you are throwing other things into the mix. Like my mom, back in the day, she cooked some spaghetti and had this, what did she put in there? I had this bright idea to put corn in it. And I said, Jesus Christ, she ruined the whole thing. But I'm young and I'm hungry. What am I going to say? I got to eat the corn now. But I'm like, where'd the ground beef go? Who gave you this bad idea? And why in God's name did you put it in here? Right? I'm still upset about it. And I was like 12. I'm angry about it, as you can see, right? And so what I'm saying is, don't throw corn in the spaghetti just because it's somebody told you it's a bright idea, if that's not what you want. If you want spaghetti, eat spaghetti. If you want ground beef in it, put ground beef in it. Don't take somebody else's thing and think that it has to be yours. It's your idea, it's not theirs. You are the one that has everything in you to make that happen. Otherwise, the idea wouldn't have come to you. Doesn't need your help, it just needs your permission. It needs you to allow it to be alive by assuming and accepting, I am this now. I'm a transformational coach. Every time you think about yourself, that's how you identify yourself. I am this. Keep doing what you're doing, but it will lead, it will expand. As you become more aware of being something, you're going to see more than in your physical world, because that's what you are more aware of. And your awareness creates what people call their reality, your physical experience.
Amen.
Right? So focus on the end. What do you want? Don't go through all the other stuff. You're just messing your thing up. You're going to make it take longer. It's going to be harder, and it's not necessary. It's not, right? You could be a transformational coach. Why can't you be a transformational coach and the first person to hire you give you 10,000? Why not? What's all things are possible to God. All things are possible to him who believes. God and man are one. That's why all things are possible to the same God and man, right? It's to your higher mind. Everything is possible. Doesn't need your help. It just needs your permission. So what do you want? Go to the end. I am a transformational coach that does X, Y, and Z. That's what I am. That's what I am. And you keep doing what you're doing. I'm not saying stop it. I'm saying just assume that identity of that. I am that now, period. That's what I am. And it will expand. It will eliminate everything that's not necessary. It'll eliminate, it's because your yoke is easy and your burden is light. God doesn't struggle. God doesn't need 10 jobs. God doesn't need to be an Uber driver and a Lyft driver and a Door Dasher and an Uber Eats and working at this. And God doesn't do that. Your highest mind doesn't do that. Humanity does that, because humanity has to earn things, has to justify things, and has to put it in, and you don't work if you don't eat, and all the other old crazy stuff people tell each other. But this trust fund babies never work a day in their life, and they eating. What does Prince Charles do for a living? Anybody know? What is Prince Harry doing? Running sprints and living in LA, down there where I'm from. And what is he? Anybody see him working? Anybody see him with an Amazon vest on, backing the truck up? Anybody? No. What the things people tell you aren't even true. There are people who've never worked a day in their life and never will. So if one person can do it, then it's not a law, it's a rule. But now you're making that rule apply to you when it's not necessary. It doesn't have to. Right? So you choose what you want to be. That's the law. According to my faith, be it unto me. As I think in my mind, as I believe myself to be, so am I. So start believing yourself to be what you want to become, and you will.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. Well, I went that long. That's for all of you clowns on here. That's for all of you people. Okay? Stop putting stuff in. Stop putting corn in the spaghetti. I'm gonna have to talk to my mom about it, because I'm kind of still upset about it. I want to know where she got that bright idea. It's just so upsetting. Okay, now I couldn't see. I gotta let it go. I'll let it go. Okay, we'll let it go. All right. All right. What else we got? We'll move on. Questions, comment. What else we got? Who else wants to know something? Who else wants to stop thinking crazy and ridiculous?
I got a question.
Yes, please.
So your idea of sitting inside, so I meditate, but I do guided meditation because it's better, I think, anyways. But your idea of sitting in silence by yourself just for a minute and not distract yourself is for you to hear all your thoughts so you can know what you're really thinking, and then you change it?
If you want to have a relationship with somebody, should you take them to a concert? If you want to get to know them, your first date, or the second date, you want to get to know them. Under what conditions do you do that? Is it under the loudest environment you can get in? Is it at a concert? Is it at a nightclub? Is it at a basketball game? Yeah, you can sit next to each other and entertain each other, but how do you talk? How do you get to know them? The environment's got to quiet down some, right? So what I'm saying to you is that you can do that on a walk. You can do that when you're driving in the car. You don't have to have your eyes closed. You don't have to be, you just have to be able to be in a place where you are not bombarded with distractions and things that'll distract you. You have to do what's best for you. I'm not saying you have to meditate. I'm not saying you have to do affirmations. You don't have to do any of those things. Let me answer your question in a different way. Watch this. God's name in the book, right? We say is I am. I want everybody to catch this. I am. When is I am? When is that?
Always.
Oh, okay, always now, right? So think about it. So if we said always now, right? So then I am always. I am now, right? I am already. You already are something. You just don't realize it because you're not aware of it. That is why that all the social media and everything like that hurts most people, because it captures their awareness on everything and anything but themselves. So you never realize, oh shoot, I already am. I already am. I already am always. I already am now. I already am already. I already am whatever I turn my attention to. If I turn my attention to wealth, I'll realize I already am wealthy. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. Now that I realize it, now that I'm aware, then now I'll be able to see that expressed in my life because the light is on, right? Now I'm going to see what I'm aware of. So what I'm saying to you is in that one moment, in whatever else it is, it's to get you to reclaim your awareness, right? One, of what's going on inside of you. What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking about things? We don't really realize it until something comes up. So we're more reactive. So a bill comes in the mail, we look at it, we're like, oh shit, right? First thing, we almost curse before we realize it half the time, because our reaction to it is really how we feel about something, but we don't realize it until it comes out. We don't realize how many things we think or what we think about or how we're thinking about this or that or the other. We don't really realize it until it comes out. But that's why it came. That's what we don't understand. It came because of what's in here. I draw all men, I draw all circumstances unto me. If I be lifted up, I draw all men unto me. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Right? Whatever you're aware of in here is now searching for its physical equivalent to bring to you as experience. So I'm broke. Everybody, that's different for everyone. So guess what? When you get that bill, isn't it a physical expression of you being broke? Or when you go ahead and now your tire blows out, you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Isn't it's a physical expression of what's going on in here. And a lot of times we don't understand our physical world because we don't know what's going on in here. So whether that's 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you'll start to do a couple things as you get good at it. Meaning, one, when you get quiet, you'll just kind of enjoy it after a while. Once you get out of the skittishness, you'll enjoy it after a while. Number two, you'll start to see things that come up. You're like, wow, I didn't know that was in there. Wow, I didn't know I thought that. You'll start to see the thoughts kind of bubble up. Number two. Number three, then you'll start realizing I can choose. You know what? I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't need that. It's almost like an internal deep cleaning or spring cleaning. You're rearranging your closet to make room for new clothes, for this year's newest things, right? We don't realize a lot of times we're hoarding. We're literally sitting here like in life, and we're on the bottom, like we're this little person on the bottom, and we have all of these things sitting on top of us. We can't even see us. We have all these beliefs and all these mantras and all these aphorisms and all these cliches. And my book club says this, and then this meeting says this, and this club says this, and this club says this, and we're sitting and we just layered and layered and layered all these things to the point that we haven't even seen ourselves. We're hoarding. We're hoarders. We're under a pile of everything. So that what that 1 minute will do is it will get you to be able to start standing up, to move stuff out of your way, to be able to see yourself, hear yourself, and then decide who you want to be and what thoughts you're going to choose. Because the thoughts that you keep thinking, what you keep telling yourself about anything is what is or will become physical in your world. And if you don't know what you're telling yourself, then you don't understand why you're seeing what you're seeing. Right? So that's what that one, just start with a minute. Then you'll go to 2, then you'll go to 3. And it's not meditation. There's nothing wrong with meditation, but I'm just taking off all the titles that mess people up, that think they have to do it this way or be that. No, you don't. You are you. And being still and knowing that you're you is the best thing you can do. Because when you realize who you is, the being you used to pray to, thinking it was somewhere else or something else, when you realize it's you, the being that created all the world and everything is yours, when you start realizing who you are, you will start accessing all of the abilities or benefits that come with it. Don't you know you're you when you go to the bank? Don't you know you're you when you pull your ID out or your debit card out? Who you are gives you access to the life that is the physical reflection of who you are. So having that time for yourself will allow you to become aware of who you are now and allow you to consciously choose if you want to keep that or what you want to rearrange it to. Does that make sense?
Yep. I had 2 moments this week actually. The first one, I was scheduling an appointment and she asked me, did I have a job? And I was like, I don't work, I don't have a job. And then she caught me, she was like, you do have a job, you own a business. And I was like, oh. And then I thought, well, I'm not making no money, so I'm not actually successful. And then it brought out that belief of like, oh, that's what you see yourself as. That's why you're not even able to see success, because you're dwelling in lack. I was like, oh, when she said it, I was like, I don't have a job. She was like, you own your own business. I was like, yeah, but I ain't making no money. And I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I heard, but I ain't making no money. And then it was like, oh, but you can. It's just what you believe. So that belief came out. And then when you talk about being a multimillionaire, I be thinking, because they got to do too much. They work too hard. I don't want to do that. And now it's like, no, you can decide what that looks like for you, how you make your millions, not what other people tell you. Millionaires work really hard. Millionaires forget their family. Millionaires put everything on the back burner. That's important. Like, you don't have to live that way to be a millionaire. You can actually do it your way. So thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely right. And like you said, it's a personal experience. Fortunately, I was able to go to a pretty prosperous high school, private school in Southern California. And so I had the fortune of growing up around a lot of millionaires, their families and entertainers and people like that. And from my experience, they weren't working that hard to me. I'm not saying that they did, but I mean, they weren't cleaning the bathtub. They weren't mowing the lawn. They weren't cooking the food. They were, shoot, it was the first time I saw somebody come over to get their cars washed. There's a big old truck came. I was like, what is that? They're like, oh, that's the people gonna come wash the car. I'm like, oh, okay. 3 dudes hopped out the truck and they washed like all 5 of their cars at the same time. I mean, dude had a little 6-hole golf course in his backyard. I mean, I was able to grow up with, so I'm saying that to say being around a lot of people who had that, like they had the resources where they didn't do anything but what they did. I remember one dad said he hasn't cooked since he was a teenager. He got rich, fortunately, really young, and he's like, "Yeah, I've had somebody cooking for me before I got married. I had housekeepers, I had a chef, They're not even cooking their own meals. They're not doing anything for themselves, literally, but bathing and dressing themselves and driving. Any other physical thing they're not doing. They got the money to resource it out. They'd be like, "Yeah, clean this, cook this, wash that, cut that, do this, do that." They don't do anything, literally nothing. I mean, it's almost to the point where they don't even cut their own shower off. They just walk out. Like it just gets to the point where they outsource everything because they have the resources, right? They ain't working that hard. The people don't have no money working that hard because they got to do everything. You got to cook, clean. You got to clean what you cooked. Then you got to cook what you clean. You got to do everything when you don't have anything, right? But it's always the people who don't have anything telling you how it is. The people who have it will tell you the opposite. They'll be like, yeah, I'm washing my own car. Man, that's a waste of my time. To take me an hour to wash it, I'd be an hour making $10,000 on the stock market. I could be an hour doing a podcast. I could be making more money than what I'm saving. It's just a different mindset, right? So that's number one. And number two, when you said, what did you say? You said, oh, I'm not making no money. What does it say in the book? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of what you believe to be true will come out. That's why what you believe is so important, because what you believe will come out. And when God said, let there be light, didn't it come out? So, and didn't light come out? Well, yeah, when you believe I'm not making no money, it came out. And then, like you said, then you realize like, oh, shoot, that's why I'm not making no money. Not because I'm a woman, not because I'm black or I'm white or I was raised over here or I don't have a college degree. No, it's because you believe you're broke or poor or unsuccessful. And according to your faith, according to your belief, be it unto you. There's nothing or no one to stop that. When God said, let there be light, did anybody say no? Did anybody say, wait, hold on a minute, we need a vote? We want diversity, equity, and inclusion? Did anybody go to any meeting or committees? No, because the only authority in your life is you, from the inside out. What you believe about yourself is what you're seeing on the outside, right? So until you change that, you won't see anything different on the outside. But until you know what that is, it's hard to know what you change. And if we won't sit down and be quiet and shut up and stop looking around at everything like a 3-year-old and somebody putting a rattle in front of your face, right? Then we wonder why we're just stuck. No matter how hard we work, we're stuck. And then we get angry and we get hostile and we get upset. And then we feel stressed. And then we get worried and nervous and anxious. And we wonder why we feel all these things. It's not because we're lazy or we're stupid or we're quitters. It's because we don't know any better. We haven't been taught any better. And that's what every Saturday is for, is for us to realize, hey, take this information, seek out more of it if you need to, or just simply sit down and just be quiet. All the answers are in you. They're all there. They're all there, but you can't catch them at every picnic. You can't catch them at every rock concert. You can't catch them at every new video, at every new social media post. You can't catch them with your whole focus external on 100% of the time. The radio, the car, the media, the watch, the phone, the this, you can't catch it. It doesn't even take that long. If you just go take a walk and just don't get distracted for 5 minutes, sit down for 5 minutes and just be quiet. You'll be surprised what comes up. You'll be amazed what comes out of you, what ideas come. Why do you think a lot of times ideas come in the middle of the night? Because it's the only time you're quiet. It's the only time there's nowhere to go, nowhere to call. It's the only time that you actually are reasonably available. But that answer could have come at 3 p.m. as much as it does at 3 a.m. if we would just be quiet a little bit more in the day here and there. Right? So, yeah, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, who else we got? Who else we got to fix and change today?
I got a quick
Yeah.
Coach Slang.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if I misheard you, but if you could, when you were talking about our bodies earlier, I swear I heard you say that we chose our body. Did
Yes.
I? Okay, can you explain that concept just a little bit?
Yes. Glad you asked. Watch this. Okay. So we all know ourselves to be I am, right? People commonly call that God, the universe, whatever else it is. Okay. So if this is who you are, and this is who you always were and always will be, then who else picked your body? Who else was there when you decided to go into physical form? Who picked that then? If it wasn't you, let's say, who was it? Who else is here at this point, at this moment here? Yeah, that's good. Like, think about it, just like you're doing. Let it cook for a second. My question to you is, who else is here at the point of decision?
Is it God?
Right. So, but who is what? Okay, what is God? What is that?
God is our creator, so he created us.
Okay. What in the book? What did God say its name was?
God just says, I am that I am.
Okay. So God didn't say he is that he is. So God never said it was a he. It is personified as a he, but it's not. It didn't say it was a he. Just like Mother Nature. Nature is not a woman. It's personified as a woman. It's something that we say, oh, okay, it's like this, right? It's like this: beauty, strength, the expression of those beauties and strengths, right? It is a personification of something. It's not actually that. That God is a title, like father or mother or accountant. It shows you what it is you do, right? What it is you're doing. I am is who you are. So if you were an accountant, your name is still Cisco, but Cisco is accounting. You have somebody's giving you a title, but that's not your name. That's just what you're doing. That's not who you are. Who you are is I am. Who you are is Cisco. I am. I am is present tense forever. I am that I am. That is my name unto all generations. So I am is God. So you said God did that. Okay, but God said my name is I am. God didn't say my name was God. Abraham said, who am I going to tell Pharaoh sent me to get these slaves out of Egypt? right? Egypt meaning that the name for the meaning for Egypt is house of bondage. That's what that name means. That's why they were trying to get he was trying to get his chosen people out of the house of bondage, right? But I am is my name. That's what that being said. I am. That's what you say every day. You are announcing who you are. You just forgot. To come into a physical body, you wiped your memory in order to think that this physical thing you're having is real. It's the only reason it can be really fun. It's the only reason the frightening, it's like people get scared for fun. That's why they go to haunted houses and Halloween. People have a hard time, right? On a roller coaster, some people are screaming in terror. Some people are screaming in joy, right? You can't really tell the difference. But the reason we're having this physical experience, right, in this physical world is to enjoy this thing that we created. But the only way we can really enjoy it is if we believe we're Cisco. We believe we are the physical body that we're in. Because then it makes it feel like worth doing. It makes it feel real. If we knew right off the bat who we really were, like I always say, it'd be like you playing your 3-year-old nephew in basketball. It don't even matter if you're good or not. You're just bigger. There's no way you can lose. So then what do you win? There's no way you could lose. So what do you win? If you come down here knowing who you are, then how could you have stress? How could you have worry? How could you even laugh or have joy? You made everything you create. You actually have to think you're something else in order to have this experience the way we're having it. But over time, like we're here now, we awaken, we realize, okay, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Right. And like, oh, okay, now I'm the creator of this experience. Now I realize I can choose whatever I want. Okay, because it's all mine. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, a cattle on 1,000 hills, right? It gives to all who it pleases. It's not a person. It's not a male or a female. It is a spirit. It's consciousness. It is non-physical, eternal consciousness that has the ability to create physical things, called a body, called this physical world, called a TV, called a phone, called the internet, called all these different things. I am made all of them through each individual person. I am a photographer. I am the creator of the internet. I am did both. I am a murderer. I am did that too. It's God playing all the parts. There's nothing but God. I am is playing all the parts. It is not eternal or permanent. You're not your body. So what we call all the horrors of the world are not real to God in the sense of it's not going to change who God is. God goes on forever. This is like a car. You get into a car wreck. Okay. Anybody say, because I got into a car wreck, I'm never driving another car? No, you'd be like, man, let me get another one. You'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get that new thing this time. Some people see it as, oh, me. Some people see it like, oh, yeah, I'm about to get me some fresh now. I'm about to jump off. Insurance paid it off. I'm winning, right? That is our physical bodies are just a car. They're just something that we're using right now. It's not us. So all the physicals of all the physical horrors of the human world that we think, oh, this happened, oh, this is so bad. God doesn't see it that way. It's not, but we see it that way in our humanity. Part of that is what makes this so real, but it's not who we really are. It's just an experience we're having. So we realize because of who we are in the beginning, there was no one there, Cisco, but you. There's no one to choose that. There's no one else making bodies. There's no one else choosing that. That's you. Well, so what you did was you said, okay, I want this body. So I've already made these two people, right? A mother and a father. Okay, so I'm going to use these two people to get me this body that I want. That's what I'm going to go through them to get it. But I'm not really going through them like they're separate from me. I'm using a knife and a fork, right, to eat this steak. I'm using something I already created to have my next experience. There's no one at the top to decide when you came here but God, right? Say God is our creator. There's no, so then when did God stop deciding? If I am is always, right, unto all, when did God stop being God? So then if God never stopped being God, then God never lost its power, as you said, of creation, creatorship, creator. So then who do you think is doing all the creating? It never changes. It's never changed. It's never stopped. Okay, I see Della. It's never stopped. We just in our amnesia think we're something else because we've come into this human body to have a good time. And we wouldn't have a good time right off the bat if we knew who we were. We'd be like, how can I lose? So it's no fun to win. How can there's no fun to play if I can't lose. There's no fun because I can't win. There's no winning without the opposite. It doesn't mean I have to experience the opposite, but just the fact that it's there motivates me to win. It motivates me to choose this. If I only have one choice, I don't really have a choice. I'm just, here you go, right? Yes.
You just reminded Sean
Yes.
of the verse, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew.
I knew you and called you by name. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you and called you by. I knew you. So I am called Cisco in this physical world. Denzel was called what? Alonzo in Training Day, right? Called something else in all the other movies. It's one being playing all the characters. This world is a big play. It's God being what they call in Hebrew, the Elohim, one made up of many. There's only one. God is the only creator. God is the only creator. So everything created has to come from that. Right? So there was no one else to pick when you came. There's no one else around. Let's just, like what you said is a good question. So just do the process of elimination. Okay, if it wasn't God, then who? Who else could it be? Like I think these things to myself. Like, who else could, if there's no one else around, then it's gotta be me. If you're in the house and the refrigerator door just opens and you're the only one in there, and it just opens and goes boom, and you know it wasn't you, that's a much different experience than if you knew somebody else was in the house, right? Because you'd be like, hey man, what you doing in there? But if you knew it wasn't you, you couldn't say that. So then you'd either be scared or you'd be like, this is broken, but you couldn't attach it to anyone else because you're the only one there. You're the only one there at this point. There's a reason for that. You're still the only one. That's why you're saying I am. You said I am going down here to have a good time. I'm going to use these two people, these two other versions of myself to create a physical version of myself, because I'm going to use these two bodies to create a body, to come through this body. And now that's it. Does that make sense to you? Did that answer your question?
It does, because I do believe that we are eternal beings. So that means there's an existence before I was in this.
Correct.
Okay.
And whatever you existed at before in this body is what you still are now. It didn't change. It never changed. That's what we're talking about here on Saturdays. It never changed. So when I say you can be a millionaire and you don't have to do real estate, you don't have to do nothing. God don't have to do nothing. What are you talking about? God, what's God got to do? God got to go to get to work on time? What's God got to do? What are we talking about? You don't have to do anything. You don't need anything. You are everything already. You are everything already. You are rich. You are sick if you choose to be. You are the creator of everything. You are already. So it's not that you're not what you are unaware of being, meaning you will not have that experience because you're unaware of being, not because it's not available, not because you aren't.
It's the awareness.
It's the awareness. That's what Neville talks about in his book. Read it. Go online for you. Go online and look. And there's a book by Neville Goddard called "The Power of Awareness." You can get a free PDF of it. Go on Neville Goddard, "The Power of Awareness," free PDF. Read "The Power of Awareness."
I got you. I'm definitely in that book today.
Yeah. And you can get it free online. Look it up online, free PDF, and just read it off your computer. If you want to buy it, buy it. But I'm just saying. Perfect. All right. Della.
Yeah, mine is really more so for Sean. I just want to say to Sean, and I'm just congratulate her for like beginning this journey, and just and encourage her to continue. The moment that you're in right now, it's just temporary. So just continue. I know that your journey in particular is going to be very inspiring to others. So just to just pick her up.
There you go. Oh, cool. Sounds good. Wonderful. Well, it's 9. Anybody have any other things? I don't want to hold everybody, but I know I've been going on for a couple minutes on everybody, but any other?
Today we didn't do anything he planned to do.
Yeah,
he
nothing.
just went on a rant.
Yeah,
You
nothing.
might have to call tomorrow next Saturday the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I didn't even get to the levels. of last week when I said there's levels to this. There's more than two, but I'll use a quick example. There's two levels of mind. Something happens to you. Okay, both people, something happens to you. Person A, person B, levels to it. Person A, person B, something happens to you. So happens to you, happens to you. This person right here goes around in a circle. What happened, why it happened, who did it, why they did it, all, and they go round and around and around and around. And they make this their priority. This person over here, it happens to them, and they're like, okay, this happens to them. But it's almost like a box. They're like, okay, that's the box, that's it. But you know what? I'm gonna get out. And now I'm gonna go to what now? Okay, something happened to both of us. But in one person's mind, all they talk about is what happened. They go over it and over it and over it and over it, and they never leave. And they go over it, and they're trying to find what happened and why it happened. And they got a trauma, then they got a drama, then they got a trauma bond, then they got to find out this, then they got to heal their inner child, then they got to heal their left big toe, then they got to heal their left eye from the gods of Socrates. They go over and over, and they got to find stuff over and over and over, and they never get out. They spend their whole life searching for something and never leave. The other person says, yes, this happened to me. Yes, that person did it. Yes, I didn't like it. Yes, I don't necessarily understand in this moment. Maybe not. From where I am, I don't necessarily understand it. It happened. But I have the rest of my life to live. So while somebody did something, it's not necessarily, I'm not going to say it's my fault, let's say, but I'm going to say it's my responsibility. It's my life. So I am now going to say, okay, what do I want now? I'm going to raise my level of thinking to say, what do I want to be now, do now, have now? It's not over. I'm still here. So let me get to stepping onto something else, to what I want to do or be or have. I'm not going to ruminate, entertain, stay in the same cycle of over and over and over the same thing, right? You have to be able to change your mind, raise your level of mind and say, okay, whatever happened, happened. Okay, I can go in the past and wonder forever. I got forever to do this. Or I can use my forever to do something next, something else, to have a different experience. Do I want to keep living this? Do I want to keep talking this? Do I want to keep seeing this? Do I want to keep, is this is this all I want forever? At some point, you're going to have to get up. At some point, you're going to have to eat. At some point, you're going to have to bathe. At some point, you're going to have to move forward and move on. The sooner you can do that, the sooner you'll see that you could have done it. The sooner you do that, the sooner you'll realize you didn't have to stay. The sooner you do that, the sooner you realize that you could be whatever you want right now. And you don't have to stay for a certain, there's not a penalty or punishment. You don't have to stay. What happened doesn't have to keep happening. But if you're using the present to remember the past in the present. So you're keeping I am hurt present. You're using the present to use the past in your present.
Insanity? Is that the definition?
Well,
of
it's
insanity?
just an ignorant choice, meaning if you don't like it, why would you keep eating it? If you cooked a meal and you didn't like it, you gonna keep cooking it every day and think it's gonna change? No, the eggs are gonna taste better today though. But you don't like eggs. But today, if I cook them, but today, no, seriously, for real though, today though, that's what we're doing. We keep reheating the same thing that we don't like, we've never liked, and we keep reheating it like someday it's gonna be a miracle that we're gonna like it. Right? No, if you don't like it, stop reheating it. If you don't want to keep reliving it, stop rethinking it. Stop. Say, I'm not going to choose that thought anymore. Yes, it can come up because it's used to coming up, but I'm going to choose something different. I'm going to choose a different thought. And as I choose that thought, I'll start to live that more, and I'll start to live that less, and more and more and less. And now that's all, and that doesn't exist. Dear God, you live forever. You can change your mind about anything. Devil was created and got thrown out, didn't it? Change your mind. Like, you know what? You got to go. Can't stay up here with me. Doubt and faith can't live together. Heaven and hell ain't the same place. They can't live together. Right? So that's how that works, right? So these are just things I want us to understand and know. No, I didn't plan on talking about this today, but I just want you to understand that you are the creator of your life. And you're creating your life moment by what you're choosing to think and tell yourself is true. And whatever you tell yourself is true, whether it is now or will become. So you get to choose every moment of every day what you're telling yourself, what you're choosing to believe, what you're choosing to continually repeat. That is what you are. That is the life you're living. Your life is your repeated thought. If you want to change your life, change your mind. We talk about that every day in the class, in the week. Change your mind, change your life. Be you transformed, right? Choose your mind, right? Yeah. People in the class will know it's the same thing, right? So that is exactly why we do what we do. Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'll let everybody go and get to it. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see some of you next weekend. I'll see some of you on Monday, and we'll get back into it. Get that homework done for the class too. Get that homework done. I'm watching. Yes, Ronette, I'm watching you too. Don't be up there smiling without no homework. Okay. Right? Yes. You have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that we do have, I was like, why are you saying don't join the club? And I was about to tell people about the mentality club, and you're over here, don't be joining all these. Well, you didn't say that specifically, but anyway, Devane, the homework is for the weekday club. We have a weekday club called the Mentality Club. And I just wanted to let everyone know that the price is going up June 1st. So if you guys want to get grandfathered into the $49 a month, do it before June 1st. Otherwise, it's going up to $79. We need Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have replays. We have a community in an app. So you have access to Coach Lucky. He gives us homework. He makes us think. He doesn't let us get away with the ignorance. And it's a good place to be. We have a few members here that come also on Saturdays. If you guys are interested, I recommend to get in before it goes up. But also, and if you guys can't make it every day, that's okay. We have replays. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Wonderful. All right. Well, hey, you guys have a happy day, happy Saturday. We practice, go out and play, go out and apply it. Be a doer of the word, not a hearer only. Don't deceive yourself. You'll never know what we're talking about or how good it can be. You'll never taste and see that the Lord, it is good, and blessed is the mind that trusts in its word. Praise the Lord, the law of mind. Good God. Praise the Lord, from whom all blessings flow. All your blessings flow from your law of mind, from your as you think you are. They're all coming from you, right? So go out and apply it so you can see it and prove it for yourself. Have a great day, great weekend, and we'll catch up later.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you all.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Vero.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you, Coach.
Have a good
Thank
day,
you,
Next
everyone.
week.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.